Am I the asshole? For making my ex-husband give our son his car keys back. My ex-husband I have a 17-year-old son who began driving and got his own car a little over a year ago. He has had a good clean record so far, no accidents. Early this week, however, he had a minor road rage incident which I am describing as I saw on my son's dashcam footage. He was in a left turn lane at a red light behind two other cars. The light turned green, but the car in front didn't move. The car in front of my son, and my son, leaned on their horn but they still didn't move. They blared their horns non-stop for a good 15 seconds, but the car still didn't move. The light turned red, and just afterwards the car in front ran the red light and made a U-turn. My son, as the car passed him in the opposite lane, flipped off the driver and screamed stupid FINGB at the top of his lungs out the window at the driver, a woman who looked to be in her 60s or 70s. That intersection has long lights, so my son had to wait a long time for the next green light. Coincidentally, this woman lives in the same condo complex as my ex-husband and son, even though neither of them claim to have ever met her before or recognized her. But she apparently recognized my son and his car. She confronted my ex-husband about it a couple days afterward. She made my son's behavior sound a lot worse than it actually was. She said my son threatened and intimidated her and also downplayed her actions. She said she made a tiny driving mistake and didn't give any more details beyond that. My ex took a look at my son's dashcam footage and saw the whole incident. Though he agreed it wasn't as bad as she made it sound, he was still angry at my son. He made him apologize, and told him he would be taking away his keys for a whole week, meaning he'd have to walk to school and everywhere else. He made a big deal of how he doesn't want his son disrespecting women and his elders or road raging. I thought his punishment was way too harsh considering the circumstances. I had a long conversation with my ex the day after he made the punishment, made clear how I felt, and demanded he give him his keys back. He stood his ground at first but eventually and very reluctantly gave in, since I'm the parent he spends the most time with and thus the one who has ultimate veto power. My ex seemed really unhappy about our son getting out of his punishment. Am I the asshole? Nata, especially if she's lying, adding stuff to make it sound worse. She shouldn't even be on the road. Have a talk with your son because it is dangerous to yell at someone like that, and just like that lady recognized him, someone else could have and done something far worse. Walking around for a week for acting like an asshole while in a vehicle that can kill people is not an excessive punishment. You're the asshole. Ultimate veto power just because he stays with you most. So you are communicating to your son that his dad's parenting methods do not matter. Nice going. Co-parenting, not one-parenting. You're the asshole. Great way to teach your son responsibility and maturity by not only overlooking but also totally minimizing his actions. I bet your reply to his bad behavior is always, "It's not as bad as it seems." You're the asshole. A week of no car for that obnoxious and intimidating tantrum your son threw at a senior citizen was not long enough, imho. You are enabling your son's anger issues and not doing him any favors in learning how to act like a responsible adult. You're the asshole. You've basically made it okay for him to use aggressive, sexist language. His father was teaching him. You have enabled him. You're the asshole. Being angry is one thing, but road rage could get him killed. He needs to learn to control his temper. You're the asshole. In my opinion, I think the punishment was reasonable. Or at the very least some sort of punishment is reasonable. By reversing the decision you are essentially teaching your son that road rage is sometimes justified. It's not. Maybe this time it's a curse, next time it could be an aggressive move, or he could piss off the wrong person. Surely you have some sort of co-parenting agreement or understanding with your ex about how to determine discipline, so presumably your ex should have consulted you about it, but at the same time you blatantly ignored that as well by vetoing him completely and not giving out any punishment. You're the asshole. Your son needs to learn to control his anger because one day he will rage at the wrong person and end up hurt or dead. He absolutely should lose his car for a week, and if you ask me, that's getting off flight. People these days are crazy. Who's to say the old lady didn't know if your son was gonna hurt her? That whole incident could have gone over way worse, and your son is lucky to have a dash cam and a father who actually cares about his child's concerning behavior. You're the asshole. Your son needs to learn that the appropriate time to pick a fight is not when the other party is in a 1,000-pound death machine. It's wild that you thinking screaming obscenities at someone from your car isn't threatening and intimidating. What would be the purpose of him doing it if it wasn't? One of these days he's going to pick a fight with the wrong person and get seriously injured or killed. If he can't manage his emotions while he's driving, then he's a danger on the road and not mature enough to be behind the wheel. Your ex was right to take the car keys. You're making excuses for your son's behavior. So, deal with your son by being honest. So, yeah, son, she was exactly what you said she was, but now you need to understand where you went wrong, and learn from it. Then I'd go and tell the lady that son was right and the entire interaction is on camera, and you'd be happy to show everyone what a rude, inconsiderate and law-breaking driver she is. The lady missed the whole green light? While people were honking at her? Was she on her phone? Was she drunk? On medication? Confused? Did she fall asleep? I'm a lot more worried about her driving than your son's reaction to it. Did your husband send her the dash cam footage of her sitting at the light? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Talk to him about his anger issues. Maybe have him do some mindful exercises to teach him proper coping methods, but don't punish him for having emotions. That, literally, is all that happened. He had emotions. Not one person was harmed. The lady lied, hoping he would get in trouble. Teens bad, elderly ladies are the law. You did good. Nata. Not the asshole. She shouldn't be driving, and it shows. For me, you get 3 seconds after a light turns green before the horn, and another 5 seconds before I just go around you if there's space. And you are for sure getting called profanities and some hand signals as I pass by. Your son didn't do anything wrong. He called it as is. Not the asshole sounds like this lady is out to lunch. Should probably call the police if a woman can't figure out that 2 honks, one of them being 15 seconds long, is about and then runs a red light. She probably shouldn't be driving at all. Not the asshole. I'm gonna go. Yes, he may spend more time with you, but you're still co-parenting, and I would think still want to put up a united front. Now, you're risking a precedent where if he doesn't like what dad says, maybe mom will give me what I want. I'm honestly torn between he needs to learn to control his temper for his own safety, and punishing someone based on a lie is never okay. But he's going to scream at the wrong person and 1, get the shit beat out of him, or 2, get the shit beat out of the car. 1 week of no car for having a car-related temper tantrum is fine. You're the asshole. Your son swore and used a misogynistic slur aimed at an older woman. Not cool. Although it's not why I'm saying you're the asshole. The punishment wasn't that bad. A week is a pretty short time. You could have stood by your ex and presented a united front in stating his behavior was unacceptable. Instead, you let your son know you don't respect his father's views, and that you don't see what he did as wrong. Not the asshole. She lied. She should not be rewarded with an apology for that. Not the asshole. That driver's sex and age had nothing to do with your son's reaction. I'd make it clear he can't do that, as he could get shot, but no, he gets his keys. Making him apologize was enough. Wow, that lady made more than a tiny driving mistake. She should not be on the road. Can you send the video to the police? Would they do anything? I think that, considering the circumstances, I would not have made him apologize. What she did would have given anyone road rage. An elderly woman not responding to a green light immediately would have been forgivable, but the U-turn on the red was insane. How about the elderly witch apologized to him for because she was an irresponsible and inattentive driver? Old lady was taking a siesta in the turn lane.